My name is Gary Merjian, and this is my Waldorf story. I was born and raised in the suburbs of New York City. I spent my summers driving to Jones Beach, spending the day with my family, and listening to the sounds of Frank Sinatra. My winter vacations didn't take place at the Disneyland in Florida or California, but instead at the adult Disneyland in Las Vegas, Nevada. We always stayed at the famous Sands Hotel. At that age, I was unable to get into the casinos, so I spent my days sunning by the pool and my nights with my family at various hotels in the showrooms, watching the likes of Wayne Newton, Steve and Edie Gourmet, Alan King, Dean Martin, and of course, Frank Sinatra. I really enjoyed hotels, and I was enamored by all of the glitz and excitement. When I was 17, I decided I was going to go into the hotel business. Upon graduating college, I had 2 job offers. One of them was the Waldorf Astoria. I did my due diligence, I learned all about the Waldorf, and I learned that the Waldorf had a motto of the greatest of them all. My mother was also quick to tell me that whenever Frank Sinatra came to town, he had an apartment in the Waldorf Towers, and that's where he stayed. So when I was 21, I started my career at the Waldorf. It was a very good year, and so were the next 14 years. My main responsibility while working at the Waldorf Astoria was to orchestrate and execute some of the most high-profile weddings, social functions, fundraising events, corporate events, and of course, political events. I had the opportunity to meet some great people, including every living president and many heads of state. But it wasn't until 1988 when the Friars Club had called and said, Gary, we're thinking of hosting an event for Frank Sinatra's wife, Barbara Sinatra. It would be a big tribute in the ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria. I was so excited because this was going to be my opportunity to meet Frank Sinatra. I executed the event from beginning to end, and I finally had the opportunity to meet Frank Sinatra. That night changed my life for the next 10 years at the Waldorf Astoria. I became very close friends with Frank Sinatra's management and security team. I became the liaison between the Waldorf and the Sinatra team and family every time he visited. I spent many nights up at Peacock Alley and Sir Harry's, making sure that Frank and Jilly Rizzo and the entire group had the best time. It was a great time of my life, and it impacted me forever. But the real opportunity came when Sinatra's team asked me to help plan Frank Sinatra's 75th birthday party. The concert would take place at Meadowlands Arena, and then around midnight, 200 of the who's who would come back to the Waldorf for dinner and dancing. I needed to make this special, so for the first time in the history of the Waldorf, we decided to close the Park Avenue lobby and have cocktails and hors d'oeuvres on the Mosaic Circle and then the surrounding event space. I remember a week before the party, Sinatra's management team called and asked if we could cover the marquee in front of the hotel. My first reaction was, why on earth would you ever want to cover the sign on the marquee? The quick answer was, we want to change the words to Frankie's Place. Management agreed, and it was the party of the century. 5 years later, I was then asked to do Frank Sinatra's 80th birthday party. Much smaller scale in the Louis XVI suite on the 4th floor. Again, the who's who came to see Mr. Sinatra turn 80 years old. So as you could imagine, the 14 years I spent at the Waldorf completely changed my life and has impacted me in many, many ways. The 2 most important things that happened while I was at the Waldorf, one is I met all of my great friends, and I'm still, to this day, after 37 years, close with most of them. But the most important person I met at the Waldorf was my lovely wife, Heidi, of 32 years. We worked together, and about 2 years later, we got married in the famous Starlight Roof on the 18th floor of the Waldorf. This was a room that Frank Sinatra also performed in back in the day. I also understand that current hotel ownership is turning the Starlight Roof into a fabulous swimming pool. I can't wait to see what it looks like. The employee entrance has a sign above it that reads very clearly, through these doors walk the finest employees in the hospitality business. And then there's another sign that reads, the difficult immediately, the impossible takes a few minutes longer. My feeling is that's exactly what the current ownership is doing. They're taking a few minutes longer to restore the Waldorf so that it'll one day be the greatest of them all once again. Stay tuned.